We're unmuted.
No.
I mean, it's up to you. It's your Senate. It's up to you. It's your Senate. I don't know.
I've still got 20 minutes. I've got 20 minutes.
With so much love. I know that's
That was not.
we know at least.
Good evening. It is my honor to call to order the 26th session of the 54th Senate of ASCSU. To begin, please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the Constitution of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'll now move into the CSU land acknowledgement video.
Colorado State University acknowledges with respect that the land we are on today is the traditional and ancestral homelands of the Arapaho, Cheyenne, and Ute nations and peoples.
This was also a site of trade, gathering, and healing for numerous other native nations.
We represent the indigenous peoples as original stewards of this land and all the relatives within it.
As these words of acknowledgement are spoken and heard, ties nations have to their traditional homelands are renewed and reaffirmed.
CSU is a land-grant institution, and we accept that our mission must encompass access to education and inclusion.
And significantly, that our founding came at a dire cost to Native nations and peoples whose land this university was built upon.
This acknowledgement is the education and inclusion we must practice in recognizing our institutional history, responsibility, and commitment.
With that, we'll move into the swearing in of new senators and associate senators. Do we have anybody who needs to be sworn in tonight? Seeing none, we'll move into the beginning roll call.
Speaker Taylor.
Present.
Speaker Pro-Tem Orvis. Present. Parliamentarian Camberg. Present. Officer Kelly. Chair Laura Pardo. Senator Herrera. Associate Senator Rodriguez. Associate Senator Mendoza Hinojos. Present. Senator Melchior, Associate Senator Jackson, Senator Bushell, present. Chair Miller,
Present.
Associate Senator Bhattarai,
Present.
Senator Diggs,
Present.
Senator Chalk,
Present.
Associate Senator Macbello,
Present.
Senator Evelyn Rivera,
Present.
Senator Roberts,
Present.
Chair Snyder,
Present.
Senator Tomas Sorrell,
Present.
Senator Tapia Rodriguez,
Present.
Senator Falbo,
Present.
Associate Senator Top, Senator Zia Amati,
Present.
Senator Grenier,
Present.
Senator Lee,
Present.
Senator Jowden,
Present.
Associate Senator Quesada Stoner,
Present.
Chair Myers,
Here.
Senator Leggett,
Here.
Associate Senator Lucero,
Here.
Associate Senator Brannock,
Here.
Associate Senator Anderson, Associate Senator Malsom, Senator Jocelyn Rivera,
Present.
Senator Alvarez,
Present.
Associate Senator Flores Carita,
Present.
Senator Adelaide, Associate Senator Bachinen,
Present.
Senator Mendoza,
Present.
Senator Salazar,
Present.
Senator Green, present. Associate Senator Hernandez, Chair Frisky, Chair Davis,
Here.
Senator Luna,
Here.
Senator Gray, Senator Pickrell,
Here.
Senator Jama,
Here.
Senator Jeffries,
Here.
Chair Lutz,
To be here momentarily.
Associate Senator Groot, Associate Senator Harris, Chair McLaughlin,
Present.
Senator Gilroy. That is all I have. If you were sworn in as a senator or associate senator for the 54th Senate, please come up to put your name down for a placard. And if you were elected to be a senator for your constituency for the 2025 Senate, please come down anyways afterwards to talk to your speaker pro tem or Reese.
With that, we'll move into the consent agenda. Do I see any dissent to the agenda?
Dissent.
Hi, I would like to make a motion to put the elections committee results to right above so right below consent agenda, right above gallery input, for a few key reasons. Actually, there's a lot of people here. I don't necessarily think it's fair to keep them all here for the entirety of what is quite a long session, and we do have a lot of legislation that's important to get through and deserves a certain amount of due diligence and time dedicated by us. And so trying to speed through that just to get to the election results to me doesn't seem fair. To force people to wait in anxiety also won't put people in the right headspace. I am seeking unanimous consent for that.
One clarifying question, is the elections committee prepared to, okay, thank you. And where would you want that on the agenda then?
Right above gallery input, so right below consent agenda.
Got it. Do I see any dissent to that motion? Okay, seeing none, the announcement of the election results will be put as the next item on the agenda. With that, we can move into that.
Could I please have, did you send to me or are you sharing from yours? Okay, got it. Point of clarification / information / I'm a little flustered. Are Jakai and Joseph aware that this is being moved? I think Lisa's gonna go get them. Thank you.
I put it see that. I'm just gonna I need to make sure. I'm gonna actually give this to you, and then I think you should be able to use, yep. If you get to several and nothing has happened, let me know. Should I put the entrance music back on? Listen. Okay, now we're ready. You might need to click one more time. Because maybe you were putting it in. That's okay.
All right, well, let's get started. I really want to start by thanking my committee. I think that's the first thing that has to take place here is just show the great gratitude I have for all of you. Would you guys like to briefly stand up? Thank you to all the voting members of the committee, but a special thanks to Gio Falbo here. He served as my clerk parliamentarian style member of the committee, and I was very, very gracious to have his help on the committee, and I owe you a lot. Thank you so much, Gio. Next, I want to thank all those who applied to candidacy and all those who ran a campaign. That is kind of the backbone of all of its elections, and I hope that next year we have some really great elections that come through with a lot of competition and some really great ideas that spawn from the elections today. So we'll just jump right in. We'll be starting with presidential, vice president candidates, to speaker, then to Senate. I ask that you hold any comments, any speeches for gallery input, just so that we can kind of get through this quickly, and you can have your time as students and newly elected officials to hold that for. So we'll get right into the highly contested presidential vice president campaign. Hold on. There you go. Ja'Kai Nunley and Joseph Godshaw. Thank you both and congratulations. Next, we'll move into the second most contested Speaker of the Senate, Brooke Reese. College of Agricultural Sciences, we have Raya Roberts and Emily Rivera. Graduate Student Council, Jared McLaughlin, Norman Conquest Jr., Brooke Hansen, Claire Pickrell, Kwabena Opoku. Health and Human Sciences, Simon Biddleback. Intro University, Havenbone. College of Liberal Arts, Charva Jameson, Annalise Dusterberg, Priscilla Paulo Perez, Marisol Villa, and Hayden Taylor. Warner, Selena Mora. College of Natural Science, Ella Gravante, and Killian Gardner. Veterinary Medicine, Christian Bridge, and Alex Smith-Hisler. And then we didn't add this. It is, or at least we didn't clarify which is which here. The Ram Skull one, correct, committee? That's right. The Ram Skull here on the left is the winner for the Forever Green T-shirt. Yeah. Now, moving on. We had a 3.81% turnout. With all due respect, I don't think any of us should be laughing. I think we should be a little embarrassed at this fact, quite frankly. Yeah, we'll get into a little bit more of what all that means, but we only had 1,199 voters. I think we can do a lot better, and I think for student government on a very large college campus, this is, you know, the sandbox of democracy, and especially when we've had students so vocal, and we've been so vocal ourselves, and we put these principles of DEI and democracy on a pedestal, and we can't get our students to turn out. I think that's really embarrassing, and you know, I think it's always put right back on the committee in the elections, and I'm sure there's 1,000 things coming out of this that I will have wanted to do different, but that's kind of the whole goal of going through these professional academic experiences and growing from them. But that being said, I don't think this is at all on the committee and myself. I think every member of ASCSU needs to do a better job with elections, and I think everyone needs to be involved in campaigning, whether that just be for a broad vote or a campaign. I would really love to see something, whether it be formal or just cultural, be put into place next year, that every member of ASCSU does spend time on the closet, does spend time in their class talking about these things. Like I said, if you're on a campaign, great, you're doing the work. You're promoting the candidates that you think is best, and if you're not promoting a candidate, I think we need to be out there promoting elections, every single one of us. So I really want that to stand strong right now. I don't think this is something to laugh about, and I think as members of ASCSU, we should be a little embarrassed at this turnout. So more members, I know of my committee and others, will speak to some of this in their experiences on their own here during gallery. But that's what I have to say on this matter. The Constitution has not been ratified. I'm sure Morgan will get into this later at some point with the court. What this all means, whatever that definition is, that we're going to work that out, and what that means for every piece of legislation we passed. And I think this is just another point to reiterate that you guys have spent countless hours in here trying to pass legislation, and as of right now, it's not ratified, not as the current definition going into next year, part of our Constitution. So, going forward, I just want to reiterate, we need to do better on elections. Going back on a happier note, congratulations to all the campaigns and candidates, and I really look forward to everything you have to say during gallery input and in your acceptance speeches and all. So, thank you all.
quick point of clarification, it's not that every piece hasn't gone through, it's just any of the Lexus we've seen. And we have seen an unprecedented amount of Lexus within this next year, or within this year, not next year, hopefully next year. But it's not every piece of legislation that isn't getting
Not even
through.
all legends even technically.
I have a point of information. Are there adjustments to the agenda able to still be made, even though we're past that situation?
Motion can be made at any time.
Okay, I like to motion to have the guest speaker be put before gallery input. I don't see it to be useful for us to keep our guest speaker waiting. They have a lot of important information that everyone should hear from.
Do I see any dissent to that motion? Okay, seeing none, the guest speaker will be moved above gallery input. So with that, we'll move into the guest speaker.
Okay, so you can stay at the point, or if you want to move around and look at your side. Okay, I'll just stay here. Right corners. And then I'm gonna give this to you to be able to click through. Who's this on? Yeah.
All right. Hello, everybody. I'll keep this short and sweet because it sounds like we have a lot of information and conversation to be had. So my name is Kaylee Melendez, and I serve she, her, hers, and I serve as the Restorative Justice Manager in the Student Resolution Center on our conflict resolution team. Yes, that's a mouthful. So I just appreciate the time to be here today to just give a brief overview of who we are, what we do, and how you're able to access us. Conflict happens. It sucks. And I think it's a skill set that as humans, we don't have very well. We're not set up to succeed in that. So if you have questions as I go along, please let me know. I'm gonna keep this as short as possible, and I'll leave room and time for questions at the end. So we are student fee funded. We're a team of 3 currently. We are a team of 4. We do have a vacancy. We have different specialty areas. So currently Louisa Kleiber is serving as the interim director for the Student Resolution Center. Typically she is our associate director of conflict resolution services. It's myself who oversees restorative justice practices and processes. And then Jamari Michael White, who oversees, he's a partner of the assistant director position. And we are housed again over in the Student Resolution Center. We are over in Aggie Village, Walnut. So yes, you do have to cross the street to find us. We're not centrally located on campus. That's also part because we are a private service. So as I mentioned, we're a private service. Your student fees pay for us. You can get referred over to us, but you can also come to us voluntarily. So the services that we offer are really valuable. What I tell students is that you come to a college campus and higher education for that education component. But there's also the life skills piece, and that's how and why you can utilize us. Because conflict's going to happen, whether you're trying to get prepared for the workplace, whether you're living with roommates for the first time, whether your parents are struggling, maybe family members, and even if with a partner. So we serve all students. Conflict type does not matter as long as one person is a student. We can offer services. So the main service that people come to us voluntarily for is one-on-one conflict coaching. So we utilize a module that walks you through it's really goal-based. So first and foremost, we ask you, what are you seeking? What are you wanting to get out of this? What we try and do is we empower and equip students going through conflict. As easy and as much as I wish we could provide you all with a magic wand and say, here's how you need to resolve it, we can't do that because I can't even control you and the outcome of that situation. So what we do in those sessions is we give you skills. We ask what assumptions you made about the other person. What was the response? What happened? What were the consequences of that conflict? We even do as much as some role playing to say, what do you want this conversation to look like? How do you want to be perceived? We also do mediation. A lot of people get that word confused with litigation, mediation. This is a process that is more formalized. All of our staff has their 40-hour mediation certification process. So what that looks like is we do a little bit of prep work with each party who wants to participate in a mediation, and it can be a formalized conversation of we need to come to an agreement, but we don't know how to get there without having neutral third parties that can guide a conversation. So we are able to do that. We also do customized training. So as you're going through groups, as you're going through your coursework, conflict happens. And so what you can do is reach out to us and we can say, hey, what's been going on? Do you have example of conflict? And we can do customized training. So whether that's, hey, here's how different workplaces handle conflict differently. So we totally customize that. And then my specialty is in restorative justice. We do restorative processes, restorative justice. So if there's impact that happens, so whether that's something said or an actual incident occurs, so maybe it's a crime and you're a victim of a crime, if you want to hear from the person who caused harm, the person who's responsible, we need to start repairing, and I want to have a voice in that outcome. We can do that. So as I mentioned, conflict coaching, it's not just gonna be a one and done. We ask for a minimum of 3 sessions. What's important to know too, in the private sector, those sessions can cost $350 a session. So it is a bang for your buck to get those. So typically we start with an initial consultation to ask you what's been going on. What has your experience been with this? And also, what do you want to see come out of this? And then we move towards coaching. We walk through a module that we utilize to really look at what do you want to get out of this? We go through this module where we speak on your behalf. We talk about assumptions. We talk about consequences. We talk about what was leading up to the breaking point that this conflict happened. And it doesn't have to be just a one and done type of conflict. It can be, this has been going on for a long time. And then we talk about, okay, so we got through the nitty gritty. Maybe you did actually learn some things about the assumptions that you made that contributed to the conflict. So then let's focus on how do you want to be perceived and what is that going to look like? How are you actually going to demonstrate those behaviors? And then we talk about, and is this through an email? Is this going to be a face-to-face conversation? Sometimes a handwritten letter will make a difference. We test that theory of what is that going to look like. And then we can do ongoing coaching to support you, whether you move forward with that, or it's like, no, I just need to gain more skills about how to have difficult conversations, about how I can, what is my response to conflict? How do I gain skills to change my response to conflict? So yeah, conflict is difficult. And one real important thing that we do is we want to differentiate between therapy, consulting, and conflict coaching. Conflict coaching and all of our services have a therapeutic component, but none of us are trained therapists. So what's really important is that if there's a reason you're showing up, if that you're like, I can't get over what this person did, that yes, you're gaining this, our purpose is to gain the skills around how to move towards resolution, but there may be some other things that are reasons why you're showing up the way you are. And that's why therapy is really important. Consulting can provide you expert advice on a topic. So, and then conflict coaching is all based on what students and people are wanting to seek out of it. So it's really important that you come in with a reason and you come in with an example, and we guide you through the process so that you can reach those goals that you're setting and the reason that you're coming to coaching. These are just a short list of the type of topics that we can cover. So as I mentioned, interpersonal relationships, living situations, advisor or PI relationships, classroom, academic conflicts. We also help, a big thing is navigating power imbalances. Personal growth, you're just looking for, how do I show up better? Maybe I haven't done it the best in the past. We also do team or organization dynamics. We handle cases that are referred to that violate the student code of conduct, and they can refer over to us. And anything else that may come up for you that you just may feel really lost and I don't know how to navigate this. And if we're not the right entity, we will connect you with the right people. So another big piece that we do is restorative justice and restorative processes. So in the foundation of restorative values, there's an impact. Something happens and there's an impact. And yes, ourselves a lot of time have dealt with that impact, but there's a ripple effect is what we talk about. So whether that's our community, whether that's our group that we're working with, whether that's a directly impacted party, there's others that we should probably open our minds and our ears and listen to so that we can be able to repair what happened. So here at CSU is very individual based. The Student Resolution Center as a whole finds agency really important. And so we empower students to take responsibility and accountability and explore what does accountability look like to you? How do you want to show up? And who do you want to repair harm to? So in restorative justice, we get referrals from student conduct. We also work with both the local court systems, municipal court, as well as the district or county courts. But if you're like, I've caused some harm and I don't know what to do. I feel lost, and we are dealing with that shame of not only did I maybe let some others down and I actually caused harm, but I let myself down first and foremost. I need to repair some harm. We do a variety of processes in relation to restorative justice and restorative processes. We do impact panels to explore the impact of decision making. There we involve police, we involve people who have been harmed, we involve survivors of different crimes, we involve previous students, we involve lived experience as well. We also do traditional restorative justice conferences that involve the party that causes harm, an impacted party, community, and we work through an incident specifically, and then we have that whole group come together and decide what are we going to do to repair that harm, who's responsible for it, and what are they going to do. We do decision-making coaching, accountability circles, and community building circles. So restorative practices can be proactive. People are wanting to build community and wanting to have conversations and get to know people at a deeper level than we do every day. So those are restorative practices that we can do as well. So how do you find us? How do you get in touch with us? Is you go to our website, just search conflict resolution on CSU's website, and there's a big button that says request a conflict resolution consultation. Louisa will get pinged on those as they come in, and what we'll do is then we'll reach out and have you fill out a request, and then you'll get a scheduling letter to have an initial consultation. And from that point, you can say, here's what I'm seeking. Here's why I'm here. I want to do conflict coaching, or I want a restorative justice process, or I would want mediation. And we talk about what is that going to look like. Our job also is we reality test a little bit. What's really important in our services is do no more harm. We're not going to bring people together in any sort of process where there's a chance for additional harm either way. So this is just a video on how to get in touch with us. So that's quick and a lot of information, but I'm curious if there are any questions. And I also have these cards that explain our services that I can leave up here that you can grab if you would like. But any questions? And like I said, we're easily available. We're accessible to you all at any point in time. If you need us, we're here. Thank you so much.
I had one before here actually.
I would like to make a motion to move the Southville Below Gallery info with unanimous consent.
Do I see any dissent to that motion? Dissent. Okay, then we will do this by voice vote. All those in favor of moving the BSOF bill, is that below gallery input? Yes. Please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay.
Nay.
Division. Okay, let's do this by a collective vote then. All those in favor of moving the BSOF bill to that point on the agenda.
Before the vote, just to give you context. Ali has to leave right after this, so we can just we want him to be here and for him to be here to see this bill. And it's
yeah, like it's for BSOF. We're asking for money for reallocation of things, so it's really important just to see. And we want Alan to be here since he has signed on it. So if everybody could just like please let us just see this bill right after. Yeah, like gallery input.
Okay, we'll count these now, so keep them up. Keep them up. Keep them up, keep them up, keep them up. Hi. You put this in. Those are points. You put this in. Any extensions? Okay, with a vote of 29 to 40 to 5, we will move the BSOF bill to below Gallagher. Thank you. Below Gallagher.
Thank you.
Oops. Hold on.
Thank you. Then with that, we'll move into Gallagher input. Do we have anybody in the Gallagher who wishes to speak tonight? Seeing none?
No, there is.
Yes?
Battery's low. Okay, well, damn it. They came and checked if we had this, but not the battery.
Does it have some battery?
No, it's not working at all. It's just blinking at me.
Would y'all feel comfortable coming up here until we can get this battery changed out? Okay. For gallery input, just a reminder, you'll have 5 minutes to speak, and then we have a total amount of time of 30 minutes. Hello, everyone. I'm Farron. If you don't know me already, I just wanted to clarify before I say this that this is on behalf of only me and not elections committee or Senate as a whole. I want to express that as a member of both Senate and the elections committee that the elections are the students' body problem as an entirety. While we drill into people that what we do here actually matters, so does pushing the vote. Regardless if you had any stake in this election, it will affect us all at the end of the day. It's disappointing that not many senators and Senate leadership pushed the vote as hard as we could have this year. Senators, you have constituencies. It is your responsibility to be in communication with them, not just when you need their support, but consistently, to make sure they know when and why their vote matters. If you're not tabling, if you're not sending emails, if you're not showing up in the spaces your students exist in, then we're failing the very people we're supposed to represent. Executive, this is your election too. Your leadership sets the tone for civic engagement on this campus. If we aren't pushing the vote with the same passion we campaign with, then we're just talking to ourselves in circles. To all members of ASCSU, the ratification of the Constitution relies on your vote. If we do not show up in this space in every realm, even the ones that may feel boring at times, we are not doing our due diligence to the student body. We have to hold ourselves to a higher standard. If we want to lead, we need to care about turnout, not just for our own sake, but for the legitimacy of the student voice as a whole. Next year, we must do better. Not hope to, not try to, but do better. I want to see senators tabling weekly. I want to see outreach strategies built into every campaign.
And I want to see every branch of this government treating student turnout not as an afterthought, but as the foundation of our work. And I also want to emphasize there was multiple opportunities for all senators to be tabling out on the plaza or reaching your constituencies. And I do think that we could have all done, well, not all, I think a lot of us could have done a better job at really pushing people to vote.
Reading for that stuff. Okay.
Hi, my name is Claire. And just to clarify, this is not on behalf of the elections committee, it's on behalf of myself and myself only. I don't want to keep you here too long, but I would like to reiterate what Garrett said, that the lack of voter turnout and the failure to ratify the Constitution is not something to be laughed about. It is something that I believe that everyone in this room should let sink in. And the elections are in my opinion, a powerful symbol of whether a democratic system is working or not. And I believe the results tonight are a symbol that it is not working. And not to say that to show that there is no hope for this organization. In my short time in ASCSU, I've seen an organization full of people that are passionate, are hopeful, and work very, very hard in their positions and really want to see this organization succeed. And I've seen an organization that has so much potential to make a positive impact on the student body. And I would love to see that organization do more for the election, to get voters to come out, to get senators, executive cabinet members, anyone to get out and get people to vote. And so for the administration coming in, for senators staying, for anyone who would like to come into ASCSU in the future, really let that sink in and keep in mind that you have been given a very powerful position for the student body, that you can really make an impact on their life. And really just let that sink in and take that into consideration of the position that you're moving forward in. And yeah, that's all I have to say. Hi everyone. Again, I'm not representing elections committee. My name is Emily. I was super honored to have been a member of this year's ASCSU elections committee. I want to start by giving a massive congratulations to everyone who participated in this year's election. Regardless of the outcome, your participation in this process is super critical and beneficial to the process of ASCSU, and I commend you all for your bravery in this space. As you step into your new role, I want to encourage you all to use your positions in your roles to represent and advocate for all students, ASCSU involved or not. Be welcoming, connect with all students, and encourage participation in student government. Advocate for voting and participation to allow your hard work to continue through the ratification of the Constitution and election of new senators and representatives. ASCSU can be an intimidating space to those that are new to it, as many of you know, and you have an opportunity to welcome new faces and a new generation into this space. I think the voter turnout numbers can be representative of this disconnect, and I challenge you all to use your positions to change this moving forward. I encourage you all to actively participate in voter turnout initiatives next year, as it impacts all parts of ASCSU. I look forward to seeing everyone in their positions and advocating for the student body in the best way possible, and I encourage you all to advocate for the whole student body and use your positions to embrace student engagement. Thank you.
Great. Hello. While we're thinking introspectively, there's just two issues with accessibility at ASCSU that I have seen. I would also like to clarify this is not an opinion that represents the elections committee as a whole. This is just what I have experienced through my own experiences as a CSU student and through conversations that I've had with a lot of other CSU students. The first one is with the executive branch, and with entering the executive branch, there have been some opinions that it is difficult to enter the executive branch if you don't already have connections to people within ASCSU, people to vouch for you, people who know you within ASCSU. Whether this is true or not, I believe it's concerning in and of itself that this is a general consensus that I've seen in the conversations that I've had. The other one is entering the Senate. I am a poli-sci student and I am in the elections committee, and even I am still a little bit lost on the process of entering Senate and the inner workings of it. And I think, you know, as a student who is a lot more involved in this stuff than a majority of the student body, I think that's concerning. This lack of information generally in the processes of ASCSU and how to enter ASCSU. Thank you.
We have a handheld mic now. So I'll pass this to.
For the purpose of equity, if you do wish to speak up here, since everyone else has, I want to make that an option as well.
Thanks.
I want to say something about this same topic as me, myself, little old me. I think we should be weary about using this outlier of an election to make a judgment call about our engagement. I don't think it's a fair assessment. I don't think it's a fair assessment because the first time ever we had Senate elections, that's huge. That got people talking in each one of their colleges. What we had were clenched outcomes between all three at-large elected seats. If I didn't have a vested interest in this organization, like I do, as someone who is extremely politically involved at every single level, I probably wouldn't have voted in this election either, because it's already been decided. I don't think that that means, yes, we should talk about outreach and we should talk about involvement and engagement, but this year had the potential, with a three-way race for president and vice president and senator elections, to be the biggest that there ever has been. So I would say there are so many different factors about this election that we shouldn't be judging ourselves too harshly when there are outliers in every element of this election that we had never seen before. And I want to thank everyone who did put in hard work to do outreach, to be involved in elections in some capacity or another, to talk about it in your classrooms. I think we should give ourselves some grace in understanding that why would someone vote in an election if they already know the results? And I hope that when we see senator elections next year, that every single college, every single CRC, every single elected position gets everyone on campus talking. All right, that's all I have.
Yeah, so I just want to follow that, and I just want to start by saying last year we had a three-way competition at the president, vice president level, and this was a highly contentious campaign the whole time, and got so many headlines, and so many people were so interested in this. And we got to 11% of the vote. We ratified the Constitution by 1%. You know, to Cameron's point, I think it's great how invested some of us are, and I think we need to refocus our energy into the students. The fact that like no one knows who we are, everyone states that. No one knows who ASCSU is, and we all say that, and we don't do anything to change it. I think it's insane that the bar is 10% to ratify the Constitution, and we're thinking about changing that because we don't hit it. I don't think our efforts should be focused in changing the 10%. Our efforts should be focused in outreach and actually making sure students feel heard and that this is actually a space that helps them. And we have a massive budget. This isn't like we don't do anything or can't have an impact. At this point, it becomes a choice that we don't. And the pushback on senators running is insane to me. I think it's crazy that we don't, and you know this, I'm not speaking for the CRCs here, it's a very different circumstance, but when we're talking about representing college councils, that we don't want to run for these positions, that we don't want to be elected, I don't think we actually hold principles of democracy close to us. So that's all I have to say on that. Thank you.
Ooh, I just want to clear up. That was the point I made earlier was not taking a dig at anyone on this side of the room. It was really just about Senate. I'm not talking specifically about the vote, like Eric said, but even in other years when we've had races like that, the voter turnout has been low. Like, there's never been a race where it's been that high. And I think, like, on Garrett's point, when I was tabling trying to get people to vote for elections committee, people walked by and said, I didn't even know that we had a student body here. It's not necessarily about getting people to vote, but it's just getting our name out there. No one knows what we do if that's not the point. We're supposed to be advocating for these people. I wasn't necessarily trying to dig at only the vote, but it's like we need to get our name out. We need to be helping people. And how can we be helping people if we're not even talking to them? We're not connected to them. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Okay. Hello, Joseph. Hello. We first want to say thank you for the work that you do, the work that this body has done this year. And I do agree with some of the concerns that are raised today, and I think that it is something we need to take more serious. What I will say is that the Nutley Gottschall campaign ran what I think was an extremely effective campaign, and that I don't want to discredit or have any of the lovely folks who are in the room who worked on the campaign discredited or, like, feel discouraged in their efforts or feel discouraged in their efforts to possibly join ASCSU in future semesters. Our campaign team was comprised of many people who weren't even in ASCSU, and so I first want to say thank you to the students in this room who showed up, who were a part of the campaign, who tabled, who did class presentations, who did first year student outreach, who did all the things and those concerted efforts that we tried to make and attempts to bridge these gaps that we see on campus and adhere to this sense of democracy and this bigger sense of belonging that we all strive to create and feel on campus. I really want to thank the multitude of people who were on this campaign. So if you served on the campaign in any capacity, if you were the website coordinator, if you were the deputy campaign manager for events, I mean, please raise your hand. I would love to give you a round of applause for you to be acknowledged as students who are a part of this democratic process. I want to thank you for all the work that we do, and I most importantly want to say that the work didn't stop with the campaign, that the work keeps going. So thank you all. Thank you all. And I look forward to a year's worth of hard work with you all, who I hope to see in ASCSU in some capacity. And I thank you all for your time today and the efforts and the comments that you've made. So, yes, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, just to reiterate everything you said, thanks to everybody. I think that one of the most beautiful parts of our campaign is that it was ran by people who are outside of the organization. We had so many different voices in that conversation. And I think that if you really want to get the full perspective, if you're sitting there and you're asking yourself, like, well, all these individuals are telling me about, how we need to do better, we need to go out there. That conversation should leave this room with you. And in my opinion, should be actionable change. We need to decide where we're moving forward to from here. So next year, it's not even a conversation that has to be had. We just know it's going to happen. And I think that the way that we do that is by marketing ourselves as a student organization, a cohesive CSU. And I would say that we're already moving in the right direction. And so to reiterate what Jakai said, thanks to everybody and thanks for everybody's concern. And I would also like to back that up. I think we ran a fantastic campaign. And what we did is we ran that campaign until the very end. We had so many people. I wish everybody who might be feeling a little dissuaded by what's being said here tonight, to be able to hear some of the conversations that Jakai and I had towards the end of our campaign when we were the only ones currently in the race. We had so many people sit down and thank us for marketing ASCSU, people who had never heard of it before. So many classroom presentations that were like, oh, well, the question was asked, why are you guys here if you're the only ones running? And it came out to the thing is because we want to form that relationship with you. And I think that's the way that we do it, is by actually taking action, even when you're the only ones in the room. And yeah, with that, thank you. Appreciate everybody. Thanks to the campaign team.
Sorry, I want to add one last thing. I'm so sorry. Okay. There's a lot of people on that campaign team and people that I do want to give their, oh my God, my highest praises and my highest thanks to. Abraham Apatano, please, round of applause. This started Grace Bennett. our deputy campaign manager. These are two folks who are not involved in ASCSU. Grace was not involved in ASCSU before this week. She is now a rotational intern. But she learned about ASCSU and the things that we're doing in ASCSU through getting involved with this process. Abe is the president of the Marketing Association, and I said, wow, so driven you are. Please come and work on this campaign. Andrew White, our website coordinator, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Joseph Curtis, Fraternity and Sorority Life Outreach Liaison. Adam Akako is a campaign manager for marketing, media, multimedia, all the things. I think Lily Coughlin is right. Is Lily behind you? Also did media for the campaign. Please round of applause. Kayla was on our campaign with public relations. Ben Greg Will did everything. So thank you so much, from class presentations to tabling to outreach. We appreciate you. Cheyenne, who did that. Oh, and Betty in the corner here. My apologies, Betty, please stand. All of the events that we got to do throughout this 2-week period, be it the sip and share that we did on the plaza, if it was, oh my God, if it was sip and share, if it was campus cleanup, the Ram Band refreshers, that was Betty. That was Cheyenne. That was Sarah. It was a large team of people. Nura, who came out and tabled with me multiple days, and I am so sorry because I got on your nerves for the full hour that we tabled, but I thank you. Please. Isaac, Jalen, both first years who had very concerted and concentrated efforts and long pushes with the campaign that I got to bother. Oh, Sophie, Tangia, Lorenzo, Jocelyn, all of these people are people who are on the Micah. All of these people are people who are in the room right now who are on the campaign and helped out via tabling, class presentations. And so what I would like to say is that, you know, at times when you feel hardest hit, oh my God, get up. When you feel hardest hit, rest if you must, but don't you quit. It comes from one of my favorite poems. Please listen to it. Nonetheless, though, thank you to all of these people, and thank you to the good work that you have done this year, and we get to do another good year of good work, and so I thank you. And don't let this beat you up. Like we still have work to do, as any organization does. And as I talk to student government leaders across the nation, we all have so much more work to do, especially in the face of adversity and the things that we face now in this world. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you to everybody who was involved. Literally, oh my God, I gave out the whole 2 weeks and you was literally
I'm so sorry to how you've extended over 5 minutes by quite a bit
I'm
now.
so sorry. I want to say thank you all.
That's fine. Let me answer my question.
Hello, everyone. Like many of y'all, I'm disappointed by this turnout. I think it's honestly kind of abysmal. I'm gonna have to slightly disagree with Joseph. I don't think we're headed in the right direction, but I think we can. This upcoming year will probably be full of challenges for us. I mean, we can already see that the economy is not doing well. There's likely going to be increased crackdowns on CSU and increased challenges for students. And I think as an organization that supports students, we have a lot of opportunities to directly help our constituents. I think this will mean that we'll have to spend less money on ourselves and more on the students. So we might have to cut down on events that celebrate ASCSU, things of that nature, travel, conferences, everything like that, and reinvest that money into things like food security, housing security, things that directly benefit our most vulnerable students in the upcoming year. So I hope as we deliberate the budget and decide how we're going to allocate the student fee money that we collect, you all take that into consideration, and thank you.
Hello. I think I just want to add some quick things too. I feel like, yes, like, we should have gotten more students to vote, you know? That's our job. Like, we represent the student body, you know? But at the end of the day, let's remember, how many students came into this room to speak, you know? Remember when we had to go to the LSU, the Never Know Summer? That's something that ASCSU did this year, you know? And we need to keep pushing for that. And that's just only the beginning. But I think we can say that this semester, we did a lot, you know? We should have done more, but at the same time, like, I feel like we should take some of the wins, you know? Like, I understand we should have made students vote more. We should have outreached more, and we can always outreach more, you know? But at the same time, like, effort was put,
students came and visited and we filled this room up. And I hope next semester or the end of these weeks, I hope we can fill this room up again. But, like, we're trying, I'm trying, and yes, like, I'm gonna do better. But let's just remember those wins too, thank you.
You can go right ahead. Go ahead.
We only have about 3 minutes left of our allocated time unless somebody wants to make a motion. You can have the time.
I don't need all 3 minutes. That's cool.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jalen. I'm a first year. I was a part of the Jakai Joseph campaign, and I hear like a bunch of opinions and like thoughts, and it's very like nice to hear like the praises as well as like the highs and the lows of everything. And although like voter turnout, when I heard it, I was like, oh, okay, like it is something like to be worked on. I feel like even though I don't know much of like college life since I am a first year, seeing all the turnout this year to like what the campaign was doing and like what different outreach methods were, whether it was campus cleanup, the Rambam refreshers, or even the sip and share, it was really great to see such campus involvement. And even though you guys may say people don't know what ASCSU is, I feel like it's growing, it's step by step, it's happening. And my coworkers, they knew about the campaign because of just the outreach, the chalk on the ground, the tabling. Like, we did make our presence known. It might not have been to your standards and to what you felt it should have been, but we did make our presence known. And although there are things that need to be worked on, I'd say we should take this as a growth instead of like just constantly beating ourselves down, because that's not going to go nowhere. What we need to do is say, this is what worked well, this is what did it, and here's how we move on. Instead of coming up with like things to say bad about the campaign, come up to say things that you want to see, like active solutions and active like problem solving. So yeah, thanks.
Chair Forsky.
We have to make a motion to extend time, don't we?
We have a minute and 15 seconds left. So if you want to extend time, yes.
I motion to extend just four numbers at me. Extend the gallery input by 10 minutes.
Does that motion have a second? Do I see any dissent to that motion? Okay, we will do this by a platinum vote then. All those in favor of extending gallery input by 10 minutes? You can put those down. All those opposed? Any abstentions? Then with a vote of 16 to 8 to 5, Gallagher input will be extended by 10 minutes.
Okay, first I'm gonna apologize. I'm really tired. So, I'm gonna say this not to detract from anything that was said because I think that this is an incredibly important conversation. I'm just gonna say that we're missing a component of this conversation. It is the voter turnout is multifaceted. There's all sorts of things going into it. But one thing that we're not thinking about is that senators are unpaid. We do this for free. I do this for free. I put so much time in for no money, for nothing in compensation. So I think this is something moving forward that we definitely need to refocus
back on to figure out different ways that we can make up for that. Because as much as I want to be tabling more and want to be doing more things, sometimes I just don't have the capacity when I also need to afford school. That being said, this is a continued conversation, and I know that emotions are running high tonight. So I think also let it sit for a while, and then we can revisit and next year make it even better because we do need to make improvements in this organization. That's all I gotta say. I don't have time.
I'm sorry for dragging this on. I'm also speaking as a member of the elections committee and someone who has experience in multiple different areas of ASCSU. Really quickly, I want to say I do not disagree with anything that's been said tonight. I think that the campaign team did a wonderful job. I think that Jakai and Joseph, congratulations, Brooke, and anyone who 1%. You guys did incredibly running, and I think that there was a number of reasons why we had a low voter turnout. It was uncontested, which is just kind of like generally disappointing. I like to see a race. I like to see people fighting for what they believe in. And I think that happened. And this was the second lowest voter turnout we've seen in years, like a very long time. And I think that speaks to a lot of different areas. Again, I do think it's because part of it was uncontested, but I think that part of it does come down to us as an organization as a whole. I think that it's not just on the Senate, it's not just on the elections committee, just on executive or judicial, it's on all of us. And really quickly, I want to see, raise your hand if you know someone who didn't vote. Awesome. I'm hearing a lot of this is really disappointing that we had this low voter turnout, and this is really great that our campaign team went out and did all this stuff, and we as the elections committee tabled, and I know the campaign teams tabled, and I know people tabled, and again, it's still disappointing. I'm hearing a lot of back and forth, and I'm confused on where to go from here, and I know other people are confused on where to go from here, and I think that shows that right there with everybody raising their hand shows one tangible step that we can take next year. If you know one person who didn't vote, get them to vote next year. Literally text them. I personally got a text message from Jakai asking me to vote, and that is a perfect way of getting people to vote. Like, get them to vote because that is how you elect your representatives. When we have such a large Senate turnout in terms of like people running, we don't see that anymore, and that is a direct election of your representatives. That is the student body saying, this is who I want to represent me. So get your friends to vote. The person that you know, who you thought of when you raise your hand, get them to vote next year. And if they're graduating, get someone else to vote. If you're graduating, text people, be like, hey, don't forget to vote. Like if you're an alumni. So just get one other person to vote and we will see an increase in voter turnout. We will see an increase in representation. Yep.
All right. I was a part of. Oh, nice. Look at that. I was a part of the Jakai Joseph campaign, but I do have one thing to say, as I have not only fought for many, many other things politically here, but also during my 4 years of high school. There's a lot at George Washington High School. I can tell you that much. But one thing that I can say is you must stay positive. One of the reasons why there was such a low voter turnout is because there was a heavy amount of disencouragement. With so many things that have been going on with our societal and economic standings within this country, we are heavily disencouraged. But you must stay positive. You must keep going, or there will be no change. Many people don't know of the student body, but that also isn't true. They have seen this name because y'all do a lot. Y'all are everywhere. So what do you do with that reach? You make them know what you do. You make them know the name. You make them know
the meaning of that name, you make them know the purpose of it, but you do not stop. There's a lot of negativity, and that is all valid. But one thing that I do say, one to keep myself going, is do not fret, do not panic, do not stress, as it do not provide any purpose. You must have a productive thought to have a productive outcome. So keep that in mind, keep going. And what are y'all actually fighting for? And keep that as the center goal. You have to keep focused, right? So do it. But you gotta stay positive. Thank you.
Do we have additional?
Yeah, is that okay?
We still have time.
3 minutes.
Great. So I've never actually spoken to this many people, so I'm slightly nervous. But I just wanted to say, with ASCSU, I do think that it is actually getting a lot more welcoming, and just in general, I think people are hearing about it and stuff like that. I think one of the biggest things of like voter turnout is that I think we need to do throughout all of the year is like kind of like what Nora said is like of being like throughout the year, we're going to go out and do the outreach of like what we're doing, what we're passing, what are we doing? Because I feel like people know what ASCSU is. Like, it's a student body. Okay, well, what is it that we're doing within our student body? And I think that's where outreach needs to be a little bit more, because I feel like whenever students understand what is happening around their campus, they're going to be more involved. And whether that is with like being in elections or even just voting in general, I think that would help. And I do think that we are getting in a better direction. Also, at least for me, I didn't even know that there's 3 branches. And so I think also like being very like understanding of new people of like not knowing the system and also having like a handbook or something. And I know Madeline, I think, is working on that. I think that is really, really awesome. Having a handbook for people who don't really know much about politics or even any like political words or like language combo, like all of that. I think that is what is really, really helpful. And so I think we need to keep being outreach and making things a little bit more simpler. And so yeah, I yield my time.
Do we have any additional Gallagher input? Seeing none, we will move into the BSOF bill.
I'm gonna start the confidence clock, and I will stop it when we. Well, we're gonna. Okay, hold on just a second.
If I may give just a little bit of context on this, and then I'll hand that off to you guys. This bill is a bill that originated out of BSOF, and it's also sponsored by BSOF. As such, for the Senate bylaws, this is Article 6, Section 6, subsection B. This only needs 1 reading, so that will be what we do tonight. We will see the presentation of this legislation, we will do Q&A, we will do discussion and debate, and then we'll hold a vote. That's what that's going to look like. Do you have any questions on that? Awesome. Then you guys have 10 minutes.
Hi everybody, I hope you're all doing well tonight. My name is Tangia. I'm the Director of Finance and Chair to the Board for Student Organization Funding. And I'll get started by reading the abstract of this bill. This bill requests $6,000 from the Senate Discretionary Fund for the Board for Student Organization Funding Grant and $3,045 from the Senator Discretionary to support the travel grant, ensuring more CSU students can access academic and professional opportunities, advancing their education and career growth. Due to increasing demand, additional funding is necessary to accommodate the growing number of students seeking financial assistance for travel and events. And I would like to make a floor edit. So the 2 floor edits I would like to make is, as of recent events, we are actually going to decrease the BSOP amount asked from 6,000 to 2,000. This, the 2,000 will be enough to supplement current applications and any future applications. The second edit I would like to make is towards the bottom of the bill. It says any remaining of the amount asked rolls back in the fund balance. The fund balance, I mean Senate fund balance. So it would roll back into the Senate fund balance, just for clarification.
What do you want this there for? It's in the Senate fund balance. And then do we need to make do we need to go ahead and then make this these changes all throughout here? And then we'll go ahead and and everything.
With that, we can begin 10 minutes of Q&A. Senator William.
In that paper class, the last one, it says that 2,000 removed from Senate discretionary to BSOP and then an additional amount being moved. So what is the total amount that you're asking from Senate discretionary?
So the total amount would be $5,045. So the 2,000 is for the BSOP grant. This is the grant that funds registered student organizations events on campus, and then the 3,045 will be to fund travel grant, which aids students in educational related expenses, travel expenses. Yes.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Do we have any additional questions on this? Seeing Senator Falvey.
Thank you. Actually, it's for the last therefore clause. Do you guys have a set date for that to roll back above spend?
Once the applications are closed, and that should be the first week of May.
Okay, thank you. Can you make the edit to have that date be included in the bill?
Yeah.
Range set from Rebecca Senate discretionary funds if unspent by I can look up that.
Do we have any additional questions on this legislation? Seeing none, we can move into 10 minutes of discussion and debate.
Motion to go back.
Yeah, why?
I need to ask a question.
Oh.
My placard was on the ground. Sorry.
Oh.
So the table on there that you have for like the other one, the top one, where you're putting all the funds up a little bit more. Yeah. Has that been edited for the $2,000 amount? Is that for like the 2,000 or 6,000 that you're asking for? Or are you like playing So this table is actually the amount of money we have awarded already. So this is just, to show what organizations we've funded, what events, and the dollar amount. Yeah.
The first table is BSOP, and then the second table is all the travel grant recipients.
Okay. I yield.
Thank you. Do we have any additional questions? Okay, seeing none, now we can move into 10 minutes of discussion and debate. Chairman Walton.
I motion the previous question.
Do I see any dissent to that motion? Okay, seeing none, we can move into voting on this. Chairman Walton.
I motion to approve this bill by unanimous consent.
Do I see any dissent to that motion? Seeing none, this bill is passed by unanimous consent. And with that, we can move into executive reports.
Yeah, can I make a motion that all reports that be executive, judicial, and legislative not exceed, like, an individual report not exceed 3 minutes? I'm gonna do 2 minutes. And I usually do 2 minutes. Okay, fine, I'll leave it 3. I'll leave it 3.
Okay, why would there be a limit? Like, I've never read anything about that in the Constitution. Oh. That's what I'm saying. Also, the new constitution wasn't put in the weekly email. That's probably why the collegian had something to say about it.
I don't see anything in the bylaws that would suggest that you cannot limit that, so if you want to make that motion, you may.
Yeah, I'll make that motion with unanimous consent.
Do I see any dissent to that motion? Okay, seeing none. Sorry, point of clarification. What was the motion again?
So, I motion that all reports that the executive, judicial, and all legislative reports, an individual report may not exceed 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Do I see any dissent to that motion? Okay, seeing none, we'll have that time limit on these.
Hi everyone, my name is Andrew. I'm an intern in the Chief of Staff Office with Chikai. I just want to invite all of you to an event tomorrow. We're putting on the Rams Horn Spring Fair. It's for 5 days tomorrow during dining hall hours, and there's going to be a bunch of games, a bunch of like fair-inspired food. And so ASCSU is using the Ram Ride money we got to pay for the first 40 meals. So all of you will get a free dinner free of charge. You do have to RSVP. You can reach out to me at ASCSU Operations or Chikai with ASCSU Chief of Staff, and we'll send you the Microsoft form. There's also volunteer opportunities. We won't have to pay for meals if you're a volunteer. It's either from 3 to 4 or 4 to 5 or the entire time if you can. There's also a form for that. You can reach out to me at ASCSU Operations. I should have sent an email to a bunch of people. I sent it to every ASCSU email I know. I sent like 3 or 4 different ones because I'm filled up. And so if you didn't get it from me, I apologize. But I'd love for you guys to be there. And so I just wanted to invite you. So yeah, thank you for your time. Yeah.
Hi, so I did RSVP, and I'm wondering how we'll know that our thing is covered.
Yeah, so I was planning on giving okay, sounds good, sorry. I was planning on giving an RSVP form, everyone who signed up to the person, right, where they scan you in, and you're gonna give them your name, and they're gonna let you write in, no paying, we'll keep it up, they're gonna send us an invoice later, and then we'll pay for it and lump sum with that Ram Ride money. Currently I have 5 people signed up to go to tomorrow with the RSVP form, so we were planning on 40, so I think it's not gonna be a big deal. If you do show up and you didn't happen to RSVP, I'd really like you to, and if you do exceed that 40, I'm gonna let them know, and you may have to pay if you don't RSVP, but that's kind of the thought. They're just going to give your name and tell them you're part of the ASCSU, and you should be good.
Okay, thank you. I yield.
Awesome. Any other questions? Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Do we have anyone else in executive who wants to speak tonight? Okay, seeing none, we move on to judicial reports. Do we have anybody in judicial? Does not look like it. So with that, we can move into legislative reports, beginning with officers. Title IX reading will be next Wednesday. It'll be 5:30 to 6:30 in the Senate chambers. I expect to see all of you at that. The last day to submit legislation will be next week. So if you have legislation that you want to submit, get that sent in by next Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. at the absolute latest. It is now also too late to submit any legislation that would be amending the Constitution. So if you have any of those, save those until the 55th Senate. With that, I would like to just take a quick second to extend my congratulations to the Speaker of the Senate-elect. I know that you will be leading the 55th Senate to great places, and I'm excited to see you in this position. Additionally, I know that we've had some discussion tonight about the ratification of the Constitution, anticipating kind of low voter turnout as we typically see with uncontested elections. I've been in discussions with a lot of people about that, so if you would like to be included in some of those, please let me know. I'm looking at ways to kind of fix some of the issues that might come up with that, and that's what I think I'm going to be devoting a lot of my time to in the next couple of weeks. So if you want to be included in that, please let me know. Finally, President DeSalvo could not be here tonight, but he asked me to mention that Congressman Negus's schedule has changed, so he will not be on campus on Friday, as I think was said last time. That's all I have. I got it within time.
Oh yeah, I should reset this. I shouldn't be doing this for myself.
Howdy, y'all. I'm sad Judicial wasn't here because I did submit an opinion request regarding the Constitution not being ratified. It has been posted in the team's general channel. I will not abuse my power and tell you what I think, but I would encourage everyone here to take a look at our Constitution and write a brief, because the number of briefs also, what the Senate wants is also part of the impact of how the court will rule. With that being said, I want to make some really quick clarifications about the copy of the Constitution that was sent in the weekly email. It's just a weird thing with the way the link works. It works better if it's a doc. The doc, the one that says edits tracked, is just so you can see what was changed. If you download it and open it, you should be able to see the track changes of all of the edits that we've made in Ledges this year. And then the clean version, the beautiful PDF, we had it updated up to the date to get it ready for the election. It has been updated on our website. So our ASCSU records page has the correct, clean, edited version. And I do apologize if there was any confusion about that, as it was not in the weekly email. So take a look at that opinion request. It's in the general team's channel, and I believe the court needs their brief by next Tuesday afternoon, but please don't wait to the last minute, because if the court is able to make a ruling to where we get to keep our Constitution, that would be phenomenal. And then I would happily work after I graduate with anyone to write legislation to fix this sort of weird operational quirk that has happened to us in the local voter turnout. So thank you so much for your time. And I would like to congratulate our speaker-elect, our future speaker, in her bid. Oh, I would like to yield my remaining minute to our Chief Justice if.
Is there a traditional report?
We passed that, but you can come down and give that if you want.
I'm so sorry.
I know, you step out for 1 minute and you miss it.
I know. I just really quick. It'll be fast.
Thank you. I don't want to wait for a second.
Hey everyone. What a totally normal, uneventful evening. All I wanted to say is I understand that there are probably a lot of questions about the Constitution and ratification and that last page. The only thing I can say about it right now is that we have an opinion on it, and my court is meeting on Tuesday of next week. So that's all I have. Please, if you feel strongly about this, if you feel that we should rule one way or another, submit a brief. That can be argumentative. So for those of you who might not know what a brief is something, it can be any format, any way you want. You could put it on a sticky note. I don't even care. Give it to me on a Word doc, on a PDF, I don't care. Any way to communicate your feelings about how we should rule on this opinion, please do. Because this is a way to get your voices heard to the court, because we really do take that into account. We read these briefs together as a team. Well, obviously we read it before, but as a team.
And we take these into consideration with our ruling. So if you could get that to me by 4 p.m. next Tuesday, that would be great. And that's it. So thank you.
Did you have a motion you wanted to make?
Point of information, actually, before why is the request for review or opinion?
Can you use the mic to state your question? I'm sorry.
It's not working.
I have a hand up.
Sorry, thank you.
Hi, thank you. I was just wondering why the form to file a request for a review or opinion from the court's not available without access on the judicial's page.
I will talk to front desk about that. I'm so sorry. It's an ongoing battle that I've had all year. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. I'll make sure that gets fixed ASAP. Because it should be accessible, is what I'm trying to say. Like, that should not pop up. You should be able to just get that page. So if that does pop up, let me know. So thank you.
With that, we'll move into. Oh, my apologies. Go ahead.
My bad for that, but also you almost made me cry, so I don't feel too bad. Also, hate to Haiti, wait, what? Hate to Frankie for calling you out. But with that, first and foremost, I would like to apologize for not making it to some of my scheduled meetings this last Monday. I had a thing come up. Text me, email me. I have a couple to still respond to for us to get that rescheduled, but let's get that rescheduled. For those of you currently in a seat, who someone may have been elected to a seat tonight, make sure you're in contact with your constituencies. Associate senator seats are still available in all the colleges. Many of the colleges also have senator seats available. If you need any help, if they're scary for whatever reason, you represent them for one, but for two, feel free to CC me on literally anything ever. Questions about next year, soon there's going to be a session, the first session of the 55th. If you have any questions about the positions at the front of the room, any of the chair's positions, again, I would highly suggest you get in contact with the person currently serving in that position, but if you also want to schedule a time with me, please do so. Additionally, as speaker-elect over the summer, I'm going to be editing the bylaws. A large part of that's going to be reorganizing the job descriptions to prioritize accountability and transparency and its formatted purposes. Can you tell I'm trying to say this in 3 minutes?
I forgot to start the timer.
Oh, cool. On that end, if you have any questions about anything in the bylaws that you're like, this looks weird, feel free to email me. I also plan on trying to get people together to go over the bylaws before summer starts, but also I'm accessible all summer. Thank you.
Now we'll move into the committee and caucus reports. Chair McLaughlin.
I move by a voice vote to remove committee and caucus reports and senator and associate senator reports because we have 10 things on the agenda, many of them which are Lex's, and it is 8:15 p.m.
Okay, we got a motion to take off committee and caucus and senator and associate senator reports. Does that have a second?
Second.
Okay, and voice vote. Okay, all those in favor of taking these two things off the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Any abstentions? Okay, the ayes have it. These two will be taken off the agenda. And we will move into conference business with 2 hours on the conference clock, beginning with the election of the Senate Public Relations Officer. Chairperson.
Point of information or whatever, I don't know what it is. Please check the team's chat then, because I have something really important. Please go look at the teams.
We, I believe, did have a candidate who wanted to seek this position, but do not now. The floor was open to nominations for this position if anybody would like it. If not, we can postpone it. Does any...
This is about the media job, right?
Yes.
If anyone wants to do it with me, I will do it with someone else. I just don't think I can put the workload all on myself.
For the
So,
remaining
yeah.
weeks, can that be made clear that we're talking about for the remaining weeks?
Yeah, this would only be for the last couple of weeks of the Senate. They will hold an election to the position at the beginning of the 55th Senate as well. So if anybody wants to hold this position for just a couple of weeks, you may. Do I see any nominations or self-nominations for this position? Seeing none, we'll look into.
I think I'm gonna nominate myself and Yoseri to do it. Can I do that?
So you're nominating both yourself and somebody else?
I think we want to do it together. If that's possible.
I don't.
We've been making history this year, so you can make more.
Point of clarification, this is a salary position, so only one person can fill the position and be paid for that position. One person is welcome to run for this position and the other person can assist them in their work.
Point of clarification, what is the position for again?
Really quick, can we have
you turn off your mic while the person is speaking?
Yeah, the question is, what is this position? Yes, this is a position, we passed some legislation in the beginning of this Senate way back in like August or something, making this position basically to be the Senate's equivalent of executives marketing positions. Basically, they would be tasked with kind of handling social media and outreach and those kinds of things within the Senate and informing the student body on what's going on within the Senate. The idea behind that being mostly that executive does a lot of that and they have a lot of attention on them, and some of what Senate is doing kind of gets overlooked sometimes. The job description is somewhere.
it up?
Can I also nominate myself just for the next few weeks until the next Senate starts?
You may.
Just to make it easier, it's available on the ASCSU website with the records under ledges for the 54 Senate. I'll also drop it in the teams in case you want to get to it quicker.
And did I see a nomination?
Yes.
What do you want to take it?
For real.
Do we have any additional nominations? Yes? No?
No more no.
Okay, then the candidate can come up. You will have 10 minutes to speak about why you want the position.
Give me just a second to get the
So a lot was said today during the Senate, and while I was listening, it sounded like there was an issue with outreach and also communicating what we stand for to other people. I feel like this position sounds like it would be able to help get that outreach out and kind of discuss with more people. So that's kind of why I'm interested in it. It sounds like there's a hole, and I'm willing to like fill in the gap, so to speak.
We can open up 10 minutes of Q&A. Chair Davis.
I know there's only a couple weeks left in this semester, but do you have any plans on how to do that?
Off the top of my mind, I was kind of interested in tabling. I feel like it would be two birds in one stone because I also have two birds with one stone because I have an interest in also helping with getting kind of more education outreach out there. I feel like a lot of people in college nowadays, they say like, I don't know how to study, I don't know like the best ways to study. So I was kind of interested in doing tabling for that along with doing tabling for this. I'm also kind of interested in getting like more out there myself, so to speak. So I'm kind of
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Do you have any previous marketing experience or outreach experience?
Nothing that I would say is applicable exactly to this job, but I feel like in terms of like putting myself out there, in college, I feel like you could apply that somewhat loosely, but still applicable.
Senator Gordon.
Hi, would you be open to the idea of people in Senate helping you table?
100%. And I think I would also need a little bit of help with reaching out to other groups. So when it comes to like talking to groups like back and stuff like that, I think it'd be interesting to see what we could do like as a whole, because it is a community. So.
Okay, you should talk to me afterwards and tell me interested in helping you. Yield.
Do we have any additional questions? Okay, seeing none, the candidate can take a step outside.
Point of clarification, can't she stay because of the Supreme Court decision?
She can come back in for the voting on that, but discussion and debate, candidates will still be.
Cool. And with that, we start discussion and debate.
Yeah, we'll open up 10 minutes of discussion and debate.
I move to previous question.
Okay, we had a motion to previous question. Do I see any dissent to that?
Dissent.
Okay, then we'll do this by a voice vote. All those in favor?
I rescind my motion.
Thank you. Chair Snyder.
Okay, real quick, are there other, anyone else on the speaker list?
Yes.
Okay, then I just have to say the vibes are good and this candidate will do well. I yield.
Thank you. Senator Jarrett.
Correct me if I'm wrong, that was Sequoia, right? Okay. Well, there is no one else running for this position, but I think the only concerns that I have is she is also another senator from my college, but I've never heard anything from her, and I'm not trying to take a personal dig, but I think for this position, I would have personally liked to see more previous experience or at least engagement with Senate, because to my knowledge, I don't necessarily see her all the time at Senate meetings, and when she gets there, she leaves early and also doesn't always engage. So just personally for me, if we're talking about watching over Senate and Senate PR, I don't know if this history is what I would look for in a candidate. But there is no other option, so I don't think it matters. But I'm just throwing that out because I understand this is for the rest of the small amount of the year we have and moving forward like next year. I just want to throw those out.
Senator Boynton.
Okay, full transparency, I was not paying attention when it was time to nominate people. I would have wanted this position, but I completely was not paying attention. But I do think that this candidate would be it's good that we have somebody in this position so that we can, because I think tabling is a big part of getting the name out there. I know ASCSU does like its wellness thingy. It's like a mental health thing they do at some point. And that's a lot of fun. So I think it would be good to have somebody in charge of this. And since we have no other option, because I forgot, then I think this is good. So I yield.
Thank you. Senator Bocci.
I yield for redundancy.
Thank you. Chair Davis.
Point of information or clarification real quickly. How many semesters left in this Senate session? Yeah.
Let me back. This was today the 9th. So not including today, 16th, 20th, there were yeah, 4 sessions.
Just with the emphasis that this is a paid position, I'm privy to tabling this until the ratification of the 55th Senate. That way it'll give everyone, including the person who's actively running, more time to appropriately prepare for this position, prepare for Senate, and give anybody else who's interested in running more of a chance. So when we're done with this, I'll make that motion.
Can you just make a really quick point of clarification? We're talking about electing for the 54th Senate what's remaining, and this is not the election for the 55th. Okay, just make sure that's clear.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, is that there's 3 weeks left in this session.
Chairperson.
I would be in favor of tabling this. Also, just because I think we're just running out of time. There's not a whole lot in that position that we can do with the last remaining bit. I had something else to say, but it's gone. So I motion to previous question. Anybody else on the list?
Yeah, we have nobody else on the list.
Cool. Motion to previous question.
Do I see any dissent to that? Okay, seeing none, then we'll move into voting.
there a motion to table? Do we have to vote?
Do we have to vote, or can I just make that motion right now? Just table it.
I mean, I think that the agenda can be amended at any time, so if you wanted to make the motion to table this item of the agenda.
Two-thirds vote.
That would take, yeah.
We have something or other. If we table it to next Senate, would it not just come up in the next Senate session anyway? Or in the next the 55th Senate?
So that would depend, I suppose. The motion could be made to table this until next week, or the motion could be made to just table this until the 55th Senate.
I'd like to motion to table this indefinitely. Until the 55th Senate.
Okay, so we have a motion to table this until the 55th Senate, and that motion has a second. A lot of seconds. Do I see any dissent to that motion? Okay, then the election of this position will be tabled until the 55th Senate, which means that we have not elected a candidate today.
Explanation.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can we explain why so that she knows it's not about her? Yeah. Okay. I also motion that we all say sorry to her because we probably got our hopes up and that wasn't nice.
Amber, you explain?
Okay.
I'll give that just a second and we can. The Senate has decided to table the election of this position, mostly because we only had a couple of weeks left. If the people who made the motion to table this want to expand on that, they may, but they don't have to. So with that, we'll move into old business with Bill 5410, establishing the Sustainable Living in FSL Council.
Are they there here? Yes. Okay. Let me make sure. Okay, cool. Okay, we have Bill 5410, establishing the Sustainable Living in FSL Council. This bill will establish a council that will be housed in the Environmental Affairs Department and function to be a liaison between ASCSU and fraternity and sorority life at Colorado State University. I propose the creation of a council entitled Sustainable Living in FSL, in which members of fraternities and sororities on Colorado State University's campus voluntarily participate in sustainability-centered conversations and education twice monthly. Representatives from each chapter on campus, including from all 5 councils, will be invited to collaborate on methods to reduce waste and consumption in their chapters. Meetings of the Sustainable Living in FSL Council will be held by the ASCSU Director of Environmental Affairs or Deputy Director of Sustainability.
And did committees make edits to this?
No.
Do we have an author present of this?
It's one of the council here under.
That's okay. Do we have any edits?
It went through committee. I don't know. This is the most updated version. I couldn't tell you specifically the edits.
I was told that there were no edits made in committee.
Then, with that, we'll begin 10 minutes of discussion and debate on this legislation.
We do have university edits.
I think that's inaccurate about no edits, at least since the last time we saw it. University Affairs had made significant edits. I'm not sure if those were communicated in a Senate session prior to today. Can someone correct me on that?
As a bill, this would be its second reading, so that wouldn't have been seen until today.
Okay.
We have them on the screen. So this version, the one that was sent out in the weekly email has the edits tracked. It looks like we have the edits from University Affairs here on the screen.
Yeah, those are the edits I'm referencing. Just for context, we had saw that there was a couple of like things mentioned in the whereas clauses that the author wanted to accomplish with this bill, but we didn't find those edits to be in the therefore clauses. So it mentions a couple of the things of like the director leading this council and also some duties of a potential deputy director. In the therefore clauses, we edited the job descriptions of the director only, I believe, to reflect those whereas clauses that stated that they should chair that committee. So we just put that in the job description to ensure that the things that this bill wants to create are actually being created.
And do you accept these edits on behalf of the author?
Yes, I accept these edits.
Then with that, we'll begin 10 minutes of discussion and debate. Senator Winter.
So I am a member of FSL, and I can tell you that one, I directly oppose this bill. A part of that is that IFC is completely uninterested in this. There is one fraternity, that being Sig Tau, that I spoke to, and I spoke to almost every single one on this campus, that had more than a passing interest in this and wanted active usage of it. Of the sororities, there were 4. Professional fraternities actually did like it very much, but most of them do not have something that would directly affect sustainability, as they do not have houses, nor do they have commons. In my personal opinion, this bill really doesn't do much, and it's going to create a thing that either does not fully represent sustainability in IFC, as well as FSL as a whole, or just is an empty room with one person. It creates more work for a single person that already has a lot on their plate and gives them a position that, one, has been endorsed by a single person in the entirety of FSL, that being Director Lindsay Sale. It was never communicated to a vast majority of chapters at this university, meaning that I was the only point of contact with those chapters. And as I said before, none of them were very interested. I don't really see a point in this bill.
Chair Davis.
Thank you for being here on the late night presenting this. I'd like to supplement that with a few pieces of information that I think were present either in the bill or just a communication that I at least had with you and Kate. How many people, I do believe that because I had a few questions and I do believe that I received a number of how many people that you initially had received had interest in it. Do you remember that number?
I do not have that number off the top of my head. I would have to check with Kate.
But you did get interest, right?
Yes, Kate was able to get some interest, mainly from sororities, and to respond to Senator Grenier. Yes, there may not be a ton of interest at the moment from IFC, but I do think that in creating this council, we at least have the option. No one is going to be required to be, no fraternity or sorority is going to be required to be a part of this council, and I think part of this bill is leaving a lot of openness with how this council will be run. Yes, it's a lot of it is going to be focused towards fraternities and sororities that do have houses, but we also talked with multiple MGCs that don't have houses and stuff like that, and they expressed interest in this too, of just how in event planning and all sorts of other things that all FSL chapters do, more sustainable practices can be implemented, and we can just create a community where if people have questions, they can go to someone and they don't have to just do things how they've always been done. So yes, there may not be a lot of interest right now, but that's not to say there never will be interest in the future. And I think by establishing this council, hopefully we can gain some traction among fraternity sorority life.
I did ask that question because I know you guys got interest, and that is good. I personally am in support of this bill. I think it's also an unpaid position, so it's really not detracting from anything. It's something that was drafted by the current deputy and director of sustainability in executive. And so this is something that they're clearly passionate about. They think is going to be something that will be able to continue throughout the years. And not to speak on your behalf, obviously. So feel free to let me know if I'm wrong, but I am in like full support of this, and I know that you guys got interest from different fraternities and sororities, and it's not necessarily just IFC that we're thinking about. So I think that when we look at FSL, we have to be looking at FSL as an entirety, not just like the fraternities or sororities that we personally are a part of, but also like those in our constituencies. I know that there are people in my constituencies who are part of MGCs who maybe weren't talked to who would be interested in this. And sustainability is not necessarily just about like one specific thing, but it's how can you use sustainable practices in your everyday workings as FSL. They all have philanthropies, they all have events that they throw. Sustainability in and of itself, I know you just mentioned that. So I think that this essentially isn't taking away from anything. It's not using money. It's not using. It's not leaving anybody out. It's inviting people into ASCC with a specific goal. And so I think that this, I condemn your efforts. I think this is wonderful, and I think that it does just provide that extra ability and form of accountability. Because at the end of the day, CSU prides itself on how sustainable we are. We have compost bins, we meet legal standards. CSU prides itself on that sustainability. At the end of the day, if we're not holding our people accountable, especially such a vast majority of our student body, we're not doing it right.
Thank you. Senator Melchior.
I'm gonna find a mic for that works.
Really quick, it's both of those mics on the end?
Both of them.
All right, I'm gonna bring this to y'all.
Good. Now that I have a working microphone, I just want to point out the last sentence in the second whereas clause that said fraternity and sorority members have continually demonstrated want and need for a formalized sustainability initiative that's centered around the values of the individual chapter. If the fraternity and sorority wanted this, they would have it. Instead, we're having the student government create a council so that way people may choose to participate. I'm not against having a sustainability council, but to set up one that is targeted at 10% of our student population and exclusionary to the other 90% seems ridiculous to me, and I'll be voting no. I yield.
Thank you. Senator Blotchin.
Hi, thank you for being here today. Just to qualify the concerns that just mentioned. So he says that like out of specific number of entities that he talked, none has said that they're interested in it. So, and from you, I was hearing something like we have talked to some people, some entities. So I'm kind of more about some specific numbers. So can you provide some specific numbers? What do you mean by you have contacted some people? What people, what entities, how much was agreed, how much entities want this, how much doesn't want? Yeah.
So I don't have those numbers on me right now. This bill is something that was written at the beginning of the semester and unfortunately has not been able to like reach its second reading until just now. And so I don't have as much of the updated information on me right now because a lot of that interest and stuff like that we were conducting last semester and beginning of this semester, and that survey that we sent out was made by the author, which is not me, and I don't have access to it unfortunately. But it was sent out to a number of sororities, including Chi Omega and Pi Phi.
Okay, so at this point, at the current state, I don't see any specific interest from the group you're targeting, so I don't think this bill should pass.
Thank you. Senator Zero.
Okay, well, I think that this is, in general, a pretty good idea. I think it's probably good to move FSL towards more sustainable practices and at least provide some inspiration, even if there's not much interest right now. But do you guys have any, and I know this isn't your bill, so I'm sorry for asking you this question, but do you guys have any strategies moving forward to create more interest for this council? I mean, with this being an unpaid position, I don't know if there's any funding that can go behind that. just go ahead.
I'm going to step in quickly. This is discussion debate time.
Oh, I can't ask her. Okay.
I read the bylaws. I will appeal the motion of the chair on the basis that we have not seen this since last semester, and so we don't make asking questions with some corrections.
Entertain a motion to do that so the golfer can be present.
Under the bylaws, under the motion section, it's like if you disagree with something said by the chair, you can appeal the motion of the chair, and then it requires a two-thirds vote to do so. I just think that asking questions is fine because we have steering to get taken care of.
Can I yield to the speaker instead?
You may.
Okay, I'll
do that. We didn't have
I'll rescind my motion.
We also have 40 some seconds left. I'm gonna restart. I stopped while we were doing this little back and forth exchange, but just heads up, I have a clock.
Okay, go ahead. I yield to the speaker. Sorry.
Alright, my name's Sophia, and yeah, so basically we just want to get this bill passed so that we can establish this council, and then once that's done, we can put in a lot of the effort to be going to chapter meetings and be going to like talk to lots of different members within FSL to like gauge more interest, make this more well known. We only did like some preliminary stuff beforehand just because we wanted to like get some interest before like hoping to pass this bill, but once this bill is passed, we can actually put in a lot of the effort and the work because we have this legislation to do so. And additionally, the director position is paid, so they will be paid to be chairing this council. It's just the members from FSL that would not be paid.
So that was the time limit on discussion debate.
Motion to exhaust the speaker's list.
Do you want to see any dissent to that motion? Okay, then we'll do this by voice vote. We had a motion to exhaust the speakers list. All those in favor of doing so, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay.
Nay.
Okay, that's division. All those in favor, please raise your flags. Keep them up. Okay, we got this one. Those opposed? You can put those down. And any abstentions?
Holy cow.
You can put those down as well. Then on the motion to exhaust the speakers list, we had a vote of 9 to 10 to 16, so that motion fails. With we still have people on the speakers list. Oh, wait.
No.
The clock went out.
Yeah.
If somebody wants, I would entertain a motion to extend that.
Motion to extend discussion debate by 10 minutes.
We had a motion to extend discussion debate by 10 minutes. Does it have a second? Okay, we'll do this by a flash of vote as well. All those in favor of extending discussion debate by 10 minutes? You can put those down. Those opposed? You can put those down. Any abstentions? You can put this down. With the vote of 11 to 15 to 7, this motion fails. With that, we'll move into discussion and debate, to voting on this legislation. Chair Bagels.
Really quick point of information, would you be opposed to tabling this until we can get more information? Or Kate?
I would not be opposed to that.
I'd like to make a motion to table this until next week, so we can have more information, people can get the statistics and answers to their questions if they wanted. And
Okay, we have a motion to table this legislation until next week, and I have a second. All those in favor of tabling this legislation until next week, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay.
Nay.
Okay, I call the vision on that. Let's do this by a placard vote. Those in favor of tabling this until next week, put them up. This is the most placard votes we've ever.
I know.
I didn't love this.
Isn't it here?
You can put this down. Those opposed? You can put those down. Any abstentions? Abstentions?
Oh, yeah, abstentions.
Thank you.
I hear you. I'll do the math.
I'll apologize to you. We're not doing that. Okay, with a vote of 20 to 9 to 2, this vote needing 2/3 to pass, this does not pass.
Can I ask you a point of clarification for this bill or no?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so the paid position, it's only one paid position, correct? So basically this council would be chaired by the Director of Environmental Affairs, which as it exists is a paid position in executive cabinet. So we wouldn't be paid specifically to do this council. There's no extra money coming out of any ASCSU budget whatsoever. It would just be part of the duties and responsibilities of the Director of Environmental Affairs, which is already a paid position. So none of the ASCSU chairs will be getting paid. No, they would not. This would be completely voluntary from any FSL members, which means they don't have to participate. Any chapters don't have to participate if they don't want to, but if they do want to and they are interested in making their practices more sustainable and they just want an environment and a place to get more information and to have community and conversation about that, there will be a place within this council. Awesome, thank you.
Then with that, we will move into voting on this. For the bylaws, this is supposed to be a secret ballot.
I move to do this by, I guess, placard.
Okay, read a motion to do this by a placard vote. Do I see any dissent to that?
Dissent.
Okay, then we will vote on this method of voting by a voice vote. All those in favor of holding this vote by a placard vote, please say aye. Does this make sense? Okay, all those in favor of holding this vote by placard vote, say aye again. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. Nay. Any abstentions? Okay, we'll do this by a placard vote. All those in favor of passing this legislation, put them up.
Oh, why can't
You can put those down. Those opposed? You can put those down. Any abstentions? You can put those down. Then with a vote of 9 to 13 to 10, this bill fails. With that, we'll move into Lex 5418, the budget sunshine.
Can I make a motion, please? I'm so sorry.
You may.
Can I move, can we go down to new business, please? Can I move resolution 5414 to be seen next week? And then can I move resolution 5412 to be put in the bottom of new business?
Hold on, let's take these one at a time. The motion was to, is it table the resolution?
5414, that's my resolution, that's me and Dina's resolution.
As the author, you can just pull that.
Okay, I'll pull it for next week.
You know,
And then you have something else.
Oh yeah, resolution 5412 to be put in the bottom. Oh, yield to.
okay.
I appreciate that. As the author of the bill, I think that that makes sense. It's a resolution, so I will also pull the numbering bill if that's all right.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Okay, we have Lex 5418, the Budget Sunshine Act. This Lex amends the ASCSU Constitution and Senate bylaws to improve the visibility of ASCSU finances and increase public awareness and input during the budget development process.
I have one for edit. Can you do the second therefore clause? And can you change fifth to seventh? Twice. It's just an A.
I'm sorry, what? Oh, it's the same one. Okay. What's that?
And with that, I move to the previous question. Or I yield my time.
We will begin 10 minutes of discussion and debate on this one.
Now I move to previous question.
Okay, but if we don't have any discussion debate, we'll just move on, so we don't have to have a motion. But I did have a motion to approve this question.
Okay, now with the information, I didn't hear, I'm sorry. Was there edits? No, other than yours, sorry.
The Internal Affairs Committee made small edits to just clarify that one of the funds mentioned was the Senate discretionary fund. They have been mislabeled.
Cool. And assuming you accept those edits?
Yes.
Okay. Then seeing no discussion debate on this, we can move into voting on this. This is in its final vote. Senator did.
Motion to approve with consent.
Do I see any dissent to that motion? Okay, seeing none, this will pass by unanimous consent. With that, we can move into Lex 54 and 23, the Accommodations Act.
Okay, I need someone else to do this for a second.
Would somebody like to fill in the part of the table? Thank you. You can, as somebody who's just filling in the position, you can still discuss and make motions if you would like.
Cool.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Where is it?
Okay, my bad.
This is.
Well, it takes a second.
This is Lex 5423 of the Accommodations Act. This Lex aims to ensure the accessibility of all ASCSU events and provides funding from Senate discretionary to make purchases towards mobility-related assistive technology that can be utilized for any official Colorado State University recognized entity, including but not limited to CSU Mountain Campus.
And did committees make edits to this?
Yes, DEI edited this. We amended the therefore clause to clarify like what I'm just gonna read what we changed it to. Access to any standard interpreters with the ability to request such accommodations published and advertised to all students at least 14 days prior to the event in order to have ample time to accommodate requests. And then this is what we added. Should an event be planned in under 14 days prior to that event occurring, that the information of how to request an accommodation and or who's planning the event be made available as soon as it is known. Basically making more transparency about how to request the accommodations and who to reach out to do so. Yeah, and we did that for number 9 in that therefore clause as well. And I yield.
And does the author accept these edits?
Wholeheartedly, and if anyone has questions about that, I'd be willing to clarify or give a summary.
Then we'll begin 10 minutes of discussion and debate on this. Senator Rivera?
Can I motion to approve this question?
You may.
I motion to approve this question.
Do I see any dissent to that motion? Okay, seeing none, we'll move into voting to continue this. This is its second reading out of 4 years, so we'll be continuing this on from the bylaws. That would be a sequel ballot vote. Voting motion. Can I check?
I motion to approve this via a record vote.
Second.
Do I see any dissent to that motion? Okay, then all those in favor of continuing this legislation? You can put those down. Those opposed? Any abstentions? Then with a vote of 27 to 0 to 0, we'll continue this legislation. This will be sent to the University Affairs Committee.
This is financial and it hasn't been seen by the Budgetary Committee.
This will also be sent to the Budgetary Affairs Committee. Thank you.
What's the next one? Do we need you to stick around? No.
We'll now be moving into resolution 5412. Skipped over a whole section. Lex 5421, amended committee chair job descriptions. Were there any edits made?
Look at that, just in time. That's amazing.
That's my job.
Karen, were there any edits made?
On this version, I'm not seeing the track changes. I can double check the email.
That's because there weren't any changes.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Just want to double check.
There you go.
With that, we'll be moving into 10 minutes of discussion and debate by the first race placard.
That's not a question.
Sure.
I think this is a good Lex. I think we should pass this.
Thank you, Speaker Taylor. Senator Roberts.
I moved to previous question.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Do I hear any dissent? Hearing none, this is on its final passage, yes. So innately, we're supposed to go by secret. Senator Luna.
Motion to approve this Lex with unanimous consent.
Do I hear any dissent? Hearing none, this passes.
Thank you all.
Subcommittees.
Oh, okay, cool. Joy.
Thanks for joining us, Ellie.
Yeah, sure, anytime.
Was I alone? No, I wasn't. Okay.
Moving on to Lex 5422, codification of subcommittees.
I think it just feels a lot of
Lex 5422, codification of subcommittees. This Lex clarifies and codifies the role and function of subcommittees within the ASCSU Constitution and the ASCSU Senate bylaws.
Did committees make edits to this? Tonight?
Yes, we did make edits. We added a sentence in the fourth therefore clause, saying in the event that there's a joint subcommittee, it will be governed by the bylaws of both committees. In the event that there's a conflict between the two bylaws, oh wait, hold on. Yeah, no, I'm good. There's a conflict between the two bylaws. The overreaching bylaws will be, the overarching bylaws will be determined by the subcommittee. I yield.
We just sponsored it, that was it.
Does the author accept these edits?
Yes.
With that, we'll open up 10 minutes of discussion and debate on this. Seeing none, seeing none, we can move into voting on this. This is in its second reading.
I move to continue this legislation by voice vote.
We had a motion to vote on this by voice vote. Do I see any dissent to that? Okay, seeing none, we'll do that. All those in favor of continuing this legislation, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Okay, and we will continue this legislation, and this will be sent to the Internal Affairs Committee.
We do this next week.
And with that, we'll move into new business. The resolution 5413 then, yeah.
Oh yes, we have. We're gonna need both versions. Hold on 1 second. So we need it. Wait, no. Yep, okay, sorry. No, oh, just kidding. Okay. What's number 13?
Yes.
Oh, no. I think it's the second one. Oh. No.
Can I make a floor edit before you read the abstract?
Yes.
Can you get rid of the word providing in the abstract?
Providing.
Yeah. I made a typo.
Oh, hold on.
Yeah. Okay. We have Resolution 5413 advocating for awareness of HDS emergency room procedures. This resolution aims to increase awareness of CSU housing and dining services processes in the allocation of emergency rooms to provide those living in residential communities with a greater sense of safety and security with their living situation.
You have 10 minutes.
Hi, I don't need to take up too much of your time, but I'm gonna gap for a second because I have been working on this for about a year now, so sorry, not sorry. This idea was kind of conjured up as a result of my personal experiences from when I was a freshman and living the dorms, and I was unfortunately put in a position to that led me to requesting an emergency room when I was 9-1, and I didn't really understand the processes that went into that decision. So as a result of this experience, I really think that residents deserve to understand the processes and procedures designed to ensure their safety, as I believe that this kind of understanding can lead to a greater feeling of security in one's living situation, and a sense of security that I lacked while living in the dorms. And I want to assure you all that I did not cut corners while writing this. I've never worked in housing, and I want to make sure I'm not writing about things that I don't know about. I've been attempting to obtain input from those who I believe are important stakeholders in this conversation, whether that be upper housing officials, residential coordinators, resident assistants, and residents. So while I've not been entirely successful in all of these attempts, we're just trying to make sure that we're covering all our bases. The most success that I've seen in input requests have been from upper housing officials, which is where the vast majority of the informational portion of this legislation is sourced from. This project really became a collaboration with upper housing officials, which was something I never really expected out of pursuing this. At its very core, this resolution focuses on improving resident awareness around how emergency housing is allocated. We can't outline exactly what qualifies someone to be in need of an emergency room, since that process is incredibly fluid, but we can advocate for the factors involved in these decisions to be accessible to residents. So therefore, this resolution kind of intends to just make sure that students feel safe and informed by making the decision-making process clearer, outlining what information is used to evaluate emergency housing requests in locations that are accessible to residents, for example, on the Housing and Dining Services websites, and ensuring students, when requesting an emergency room, have the right to request the information that went into the determination of whether or not they would actually be receiving that emergency room. That's all I have. Thanks.
We will begin 10 minutes of Q&A. Do I see any questions on this legislation? Okay, seeing none, then this will be sent to the Internal Affairs Committee, the University Affairs Committee, and the DEI Committee. So with that, we'll move into Lex 5424.
The one I said you know with parentheses it says for the team. So okay, but I just need to make sure that the original one is also.
We made it to the last one.
I'm not gonna be funny. Nobody would find it funny. Let's do this like this. Here we go.
Okay, Lex 5424, adjustments for accessibility. This Lex will add nuances and adjustments to the 48-hour rule to account for situations in which the 48-hour rule cannot apply. We do have some floor edits. Would you like to present first and then have them added?
Can I present with them and then like make the clarification that these were floor edits? Like I'm gonna present the floor edits, but also do the presentation. I'm gonna do both. I promise. Okay.
Because you have them all tracked, right?
Yeah.
Okay, amazing. So we'll operate from this one, and you have the original that was sent in the email, but all of these edits, it's clear that they're edits, and they will be read in full.
Yeah, call me out if they're not. I did the lettering for the Lex 5424. But I believe that was clarified in the version that was sent out. I added Jakai as a sponsor, and then added accessibility practices endorser. I think it doesn't happen till the end of the therefore clauses. Okay. I'll read the edit, the, should I read the entire section? Okay, cool. Okay, so these are the ones I made edits on. It says, therefore be it hereby further enacted that a new subsection be added to Article 1, Section 106, subsection B, subsection I beneath the newly added subsection committees titled Small Group Meetings, and read small group meetings are defined as interpersonal and often informal meetings of individuals. These meetings may occur within a single branch or between multiple branches. This includes, but is not limited to, Senate onboarding meetings, individual executive department team meetings, and initiative collaboration efforts. I believe the one that got sent out just like had ellipses, so I didn't find that. And then this next part that I'm about to read, I made an edit based off some guidance that was given to me by Ava Wilkins, our Director of Governmental Affairs. It says, ideally, these small group meetings should not exceed 10 individuals. That's added to the previous 5. And then I added the stipulation that, however, this number is a suggestion and up for interpretation, so that entire area that I edited now reads, ideally, these small group meetings should not exceed 10 individuals. However, this number is a suggestion and up for interpretation. And then further reads, for small group meetings, only the attending members must be sent all documents ahead of time via an official form of communication, which is defined earlier. Can you scroll down a little more? Like all the way to the end. Yeah, and so the resources section has how it'll ideally look when it's in, put it in the Constitution, and then I made that edit again underneath small group meetings, saying that ideally these small group meetings should not exceed 10 individuals. However, this number is adjustment and for interpretation. There needs to be a period there, but I'm sure someone will make that in a committee, and I don't. It's informal, whatever. But yeah.
Okay, so then you're going to present the bill as is, right?
Okay. Yeah, I kind of yapped about it, I think, to the extent that I could. Do you want to just scroll down to that resources section that I put, or actually before that, the last therefore clause? I think it is. Yeah. The second and last one. I made the stipulation that this Lex that I'm passing will not override anything that Lex 5420, the Accommodations Act, does, obviously contingent upon its passage, but it doesn't make sense to contradict accessibility. Yeah. But I had no way of like, there's a lot of moving parts. I don't feel like doing that. If you go to resources. So currently, like, this section of the Constitution is a mess, to be honest. And then I just go in and like define it in categories. Because currently it's just like, it's confusing. Like, if you read it, I would be lost. I was lost making this. So I just like define individual things and then add stipulations. So currently, any meeting, like any meeting of ASCSU, you have to submit like the meeting materials 48 hours in advance. I'm going to use several examples. So, for instance, budgetary affairs, right? They meet on Tuesday. They make edits. We're not seeing them on Wednesday, technically, if we're following this part of the Constitution, because that's not 48 hours in advance and therefore isn't accessible. University affairs, for example, we meet Thursdays, right? We don't get the materials. So, like, if there were floor edits, for example, on Wednesday, we don't get those materials, those floor edits, till Thursday. And even then, our agenda isn't really set until the end of Wednesday. So in that sense, university affairs and budgetary affairs are following this part of the Constitution. And I mean, that's no big no shade. Like, there's no way to follow that part of the Constitution while also being efficient for our student body and serving our student body truly. So I made some stipulations regarding committees. I use the in accordance to Article 6 of the Constitution is what defines committees. I keep the 48-hour rule for Senate and Cabinet with the stipulation of 24 hours for committee edits and committees and like committee agendas and meetings and things of the sort. That materials is 8 hours. Small group meetings. Supreme Court opinions are the same, except I just changed the language because previously it said that they're the only exception, and they're not the only exception. Sorry. Can you scroll back down again? And then the other two are the same. That's just how it is now. That's a lot. Yeah, I'm done.
We will begin 10 minutes of Q&A. Chair Davis.
I'm curious to know if you've outlined caucus meetings in here and in what capacity, because my interpretation would be to interpret caucus meeting as a small group meeting. And I'm not necessarily sure how that conflicts with the Accessibility Accommodations Act because it's still sponsored by ASCSU but could be interpreted as small group. And so I'm wondering what your thoughts are. Does that make sense?
Can you restate the last time?
Yeah, okay. So like my interpretation is that like a caucus meeting, something that is between branches and an outreaching arm, it typically doesn't exceed 10 members, could be interpreted as a small group meeting in which those like don't necessarily have to have oh, you know what? I answered my own question, so I will yield. But my question was going to be, how would caucuses kind of fall under this piece of legislation because they are still sponsored by ASCSU and would have to be in accordance with the Accommodations Act. However, I just noticed that for small group meetings, the attending members must be sent all documents ahead of time, which to me makes sense because you don't have who attends on a week-to-week basis. Was my answer to that question?
I think also like my interpretation, maybe I interpreted the Constitution wrong, but Article 6, I believe, or not Article 6. Yeah, Article 6. Wait, no. I swear, somewhere I define what a committee is, and like I think that caucuses are under that part of the Constitution. It's like the special committees part of the Constitution.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's where I was accounting for caucuses.
Do we have any additional questions? Seeing none, this will be sent to the Internal Affairs Committee and the DEI Committee. With that, we'll move into ending roll call. Chair Snyder.
Motion to use beginning roll call as ending roll call. If anyone who came in later going to the front and putting their names up on the list.
Was any dissent to that? Seeing none, we'll do that. This meeting is adjourned. Have a good night.
Chair Lutz, can you come to the front real quick?
Somebody's in trouble.
I was serious myself.
Being a secretary. It's not ideal. So, are you gonna try and become a chair again?
I have
Possibly. I think that mostly I'm thinking about it because I think a position would be helpful to help guide and path.
Yeah. Which position are you going for? You ever claim your old position for Chair Lutz?
I'm thinking about it. I like that. Okay.
Yes. Okay. I call it unsafe. Oh my god. I call it it's not everyone, but then only, but I am collecting all wishes for adjustments to the election.
Congratulations. I saw your and congratulations. So would that speak for vice president, president, and okay, senators it wouldn't apply or
No, because they're dictated by their own council.
Okay.
That is so true.
You know how I can
I don't was meant.
Thank you. Oh, you know you about
Hey,
it.
but
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, y'all just got an email from me. I need you to answer that. Thank you. This, yes, we're also.
I also have a clarifying question. So, in last week, when we were in our, or literally yesterday when we were in our Um, for budgetary affairs, do I have to go to internal affairs meetings? Like, is that a requirement? Because I remember that was a comment that they were like, oh, I haven't seen you there. Like, is that
Okay, I'm not sure what you're asking.
okay? So like yesterday, for example, I was asked like, you're the only one I haven't. They said they told me that I was the only one they hadn't seen in internal affairs because remember when we were talking with like Jakai about like all that stuff. Does there something? Do I need to like? I just don't need to know. Like, am I like not fulfilling that role? Do I need to like go to internal affairs to like follow that
Go
bill?
to whatever committees you
Okay,
want.
I was confused.
Okay, the talk about internal affairs is that there will be another conversation about that in internal affairs, and I'm trying to get as much stakeholder input.
So it's like we can go to internal affairs and say that again. Okay, and we can do like 2 a week, right?
You want as many committee,
Okay, cool.
every conversation you
Okay,
want.
cool. Okay, thank you for clarifying that for me. I appreciate you.
Likewise. Oh, stop. Can I say something?
No. I'm just making sure.
I don't know if they're gonna say they don't like to see, but I submitted. Let me know. It'll be so much. Likewise. I didn't think I've No, you're right. And also it's literally it's a resolution because it's changing the bylaws and it only needs to be a resolution. We can do it quick. I'm not really worried about any big changes. It's not doing much. It's literally just gonna make things easier.
I don't next week we have midterm consecutive.
Also, there was an article in the Collegian written that said don't vote. Yeah. There was an article. Op-ed. It was an op-ed.
It was okay. To be fair, okay, yeah, sure, it's a letter to the editor, it's an opinion, but that person writes for the Collegian.
Also, I do know that person, and she knows I'm in ASCSU, so there is also some things there where I was like, oh,
real until like second semester freshman
so
year. I thought it was a fake
y'all
archive
get
from me in the last 5
yes,
minutes.
yes.
Probably.
Check that out right now. You, I just try to make sure I hit everyone.
Wait, I think we made floor edits to anything at once.
Did I email you? I am taking any and all questions,
Check your
concerns,
email.
criticisms of the elections code, the elections process, the elections running.
No, I don't have
Yeah,
any.
why that? Anything.
I didn't
just
email
read
you.
my email. I'm gonna forward it to you right now.
It was
like there was 50
oh yeah.
You sent it to Austin.
Let me show you everything.
And
There it is.
And then she talked about, like,
How do I?
What's
your?
Yeah, all of this on a
Oh, that was caught on the camera.